hear it from you. We want to know sort of what's got you to where you are now, and we want to learn about some of the lessons that you've had along the way. So before we start, now that everyone's mics are muted, I'm just going to give, from what I've been doing my homework here, and some of the your career highlights to date. So you're a personal trainer, you're an entrepreneur, you've developed your own brand, and obviously you've got a job that has enabled you to live in Spain, you've lived in Dubai, and obviously more recently you've spent time living in Thailand. You're a gym owner, you've created and developed something from brand new, so you're an inventor, and you're now obviously very, very successful in what you do. So what I'd like to do is just take it right back to the start. Let's talk about you when you were this age, when you were about 17, 18. Tell us where you were then.
Yeah, well, mate, first of all, thanks for the intro. A few embellishments there. I wouldn't call it successful. I think it's interesting that word, because no matter what point you get to, there's always, a further goal or something you want to achieve. And, they're more like milestones, but I certainly wouldn't put myself in that bracket just yet. As I say, I think it's all part of the journey, and I don't think there's ever a point where you get there. It is a funny thing, really, to say, successful. And even entrepreneur, I think there's a stigma with that word now. It was seen as like, flavour of the month for maybe the last 18 months to be an entrepreneur, but I don't think I ever set out to be that. I think it's just sort of happened along the way, and a little bit of luck mixed in with just, maybe perseverance. But in answer to your question, going back to it, probably in a similar situation to a lot of the people on the call, really. So played football with yourself from a young age. We played for Liverpool schoolboys together. Went on then to play for Liverpool schoolboys until the age of about 15. Ended up signing for Tranmere Rovers. At the time, they were like a second division club. It was funny because schooling was not something that I was really very interested in. I suppose my learning has come, maybe early 20s, mid 20s. I got a thirst for knowledge then, but around that time, all I wanted to be was a footballer, and I didn't have any other backup plan B. It was just, that's what I was going to be, and that was it really. And it's funny because life always throws these little curveballs and diversions in the way, and it just didn't happen football wise. First year of YT didn't go so great. Second year, I probably got a lesson that has stuck with me since, and I left in my second year, and I was like, you know what, it's not going to work for me. And it's crazy because you look at other footballers' journeys, and even friends of mine where they've played non-league, and then they've ended up getting picked up by a club at like 22, 23, and they've gone on to do great things within the sport. But for me, I just threw the towel in really, really young. Ended up moving to Spain about 18. I actually ran a bar for 5 years. So as much as that was good fun, it was never a career path that I wanted to continue on. I think what it did do was it gave me access to many different people. With it being in Spain, you've got people traveling from everywhere, and it just makes you think on your feet, and communication skills, different things like that. So I certainly wouldn't write it off as wasted time, but by no means was I thinking personal training around that time either. So like 18, 19, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Football, I was still playing semi-pro in Spain, but didn't really see it, getting any further than that. And when I got to around probably 19, 20, I'd always wanted to travel. It was always a big passion of mine. I just wanted to see the world. So I ended up going to Southeast Asia for 3 months with a couple of friends of mine. They were getting homesick by 3 months in, and I weren't. I was just like, I want to see more, I want to do more, and I was just loving the experience. So I went back the following year for another 3 months. So what I'd do, the plan would be save up through the summer, working in the bar, save enough money to go away for a few months, and then the final year, so I've done that 3 years in the bounce. The third year I went for 6 months, and again, it was just an amazing experience. And the thing I would say just early on, if I could give any advice, it would be any opportunity you've got to travel, whether that be, just traveling for your holiday, just go and experience things. If it's work placements, just go and do it, go and try it out, especially while you're young. For me, even listing the things off earlier, Mark, sounds like I've been doing this for, maybe 15, 20 years or something, but I didn't really start on this fitness journey until I was about 25. So you know, if you're 16 to 18, let's say, you've got so much time to do whatever you want, really. So the traveling aspect would be something I couldn't recommend enough, really.
I think it's fascinating, Kieran, to think, obviously, you've quite clearly had a passion for traveling from a young age, but actually you've taken that across and you've implemented your passion, obviously, with your career, and you've sort of married the two together. So that's something that I'd definitely be keen to ask you about a little bit more later on. But can you tell us, off air, you told me a little bit about the fitness camps that you started in Spain. Talk us through how that came about.
Yeah, so just going back to football, really, I mean, I've always been interested in the fitness aspect of sports. Like, I wasn't built like you. I wasn't a big lad when I was younger. I was always the skinniest in the team, to be honest. So for me, if I could, you know, bridge that gap a little bit by, you know, training a bit harder or putting the hours in the gym, I'd always be keen to do it. 2 seconds, guys. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so I'd always be keen to get in the gym and just anything I could get my hands on research-wise for fitness, I was intrigued in, but I never saw it as a profession, let's say. Personal training sort of wasn't a thing then, Mark. I don't know if you remember it yourself, but, you know, to say to someone you're a personal trainer is like, what do you mean, who gets personal training? It was something like Hollywood stars got, you know, or footballers that personal trainers. But now, you know, pretty much everyone, whether they're sharing sessions and they're doing 2 or 3 at a time, pretty much everyone can get a PT, and a lot of people do. But as I say, for me, it was always a big interest for me. So the 3rd year I was traveling, I was in Malaysia, and I was like, I'll be honest, I was partying a little bit, maybe too much and stuff. And although it was amazing, it was taking a toll on my body. And I've traveled and stuff, and I've seen, let's say, there's always more to see, but I've seen a bit. So it's probably time to start thinking about a career. So that's where the personal training come up. So I've done my level 3. I started working in a DW gym. And for me, no disrespect to those type of gyms, like the bigger gyms, the pure gyms and stuff, but I'm not really a big fan of that gym floor environment, because what you'll find is that some of the best PTs, the well-read PTs, the ones who take a lot of pride in their work, they get lost in that gym floor environment because they might not be the most confident, they might not be the person to go and approach someone, or, you know, it's just not them. And as I say, it was like people wanted the quick fix. What you'll find as well, guys, when you become PTs is when you have a client and you give them diet plans, they will lie through the teeth. You know, you'll give them everything they need to eat for the next month. They'll tell you they've done it, and then they come back to you and say, "Why haven't I lost weight?" And then you'll speak to the partner. Like, I used to train with a guy, and I trained his wife, but then me and him had trained with each other. And I'd ask him, he'd be my little mole in the camp, and I'd just say, "What did you eat on the weekend?" He'd be like, "No, pizza, we went and had some popcorn and the pitches and stuff." And you're like, she's telling me she's eating, you know, chicken and broccoli 3 times a day. So people are lying to you relentlessly. And that's where, for me, it was like, well, do you know what? Why don't we do something where we can have access to these people for a week, 2 weeks, and we set up a retreat. So my mum's a yoga teacher. She's also a top chef, to be fair. So we got over to Spain, we set up a camp, and we get people who'd come over, and the majority would want to lose weight, but a lot of people had just come to, you know, get away from things, switch off, you know, work, family, stress, all the different things that go on in life, which you need a little break from. They'd come over to us, so we'd do like hikes in the mountains. My mum would do the yoga, obviously. We'd do boxing on the beach. We'd do all kinds of activities, and it was just it was a great thing we set up, really. And it was hard. It took a long time to get off the ground, but once it did, it was a fulfilling job, really. And I suppose that's what led me into the equipment side of things as well.
And I think this bit's fascinating, Kieran, because when we were chatting last week, I thought this to myself, I thought, this is amazing. So obviously you had your KO8 retreats where you were doing a lot of stuff on the beach. Just start by telling everyone how this sort of idea for the KO8 bands came about.
Do you know, I can pinpoint the exact time, really, which is interesting. I think, you know, I'm a big believer in certain people come into your life for a reason, and if someone comes in who's, you know, speaking a lot of sense and maybe takes a shine to you, seek them out, give them the time of day, you know, go above and beyond to get their knowledge, you know what I mean? Like, try and, download their information. And I met a guy who was a client initially, and he was a successful guy. Like, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not a materialistic person, but when someone's dressed well and you look the part and stuff, you can just see he knows a thing or two about a thing or two. So I was like, you know, I'm looking forward to the session with him. And it was crazy, mate. It's never happened before or since, but 10 minutes into it, we were literally just finishing our warm-up. We were on the beach. He said, look, just stop this a minute. He got a stick and started doing like diagrams in the sand of asset and liability columns and stuff. And I was just blowing my mind. I was thinking, who is this guy? So he gave me a little task and he said, look, I see something in you. I can see like you're hungry for all this type of knowledge. And he said, essentially, you're never going to be wealthy by hiring out your time. And it just didn't make sense to me at the time. I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, if you're hiring out your time, it doesn't matter if you're, you know, a brain surgeon and, you know, 200, 300 pounds an hour, or you're the best lawyer in the world. Your lifestyle will always change depending on how much money you'll earn. So you'll get the bigger mortgage and the bigger lease on the car and everything else. He said, essentially, the only way you'll become wealthy is if you build a brand. He said, and a brand can scale faster, all these different things. And I was like, okay. So he gave me 2 books to read. One was The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Tim Ferriss, but he's got a really successful podcast now. And his whole thing is he likes to deconstruct high-level performers. So whether that's like CEOs of companies or athletes, he really likes to game the system and see how they got to where they are. And the 4-Hour Workweek was essentially the blueprint of how he started his first product called Brain Quicken. And he literally goes through every single point of what he done. Because I don't know about yourself, Mark, but I was like, that's just something other people do. Like to create a product, like how do you even go about, where do you start, mate? Exactly, where do you start? So I had no idea. But read the book and I was like, wow, this is something that maybe I could do. And the other book was more about like wealth creation, and this one was called Unfair Advantage by a guy called Robert Kiyosaki. Again, someone worth seeking out. A lot of interesting podcasts with him. He's got another good book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is again an eye opener. So read these 2 books anyway, and I was like, okay. For me, it was all about like, I'm training on the beach, and I use a suspension trainer, TRX. I use resistance bands, which are body elastics, which are interchangeable. And I use TheraBands for all the mobility activities. And I was like, it's a big clunky piece of kit. It's heavy. It's quite expensive when you put all the 3 modalities in. And I was like, you know what? Couldn't I just create something that featured all 3, but in one? And that was it then, really, mate. I started that journey, and I basically followed the blueprints from Tim Ferriss's book. And obviously, it's a struggle. And when you've got the idea, you feel like, that's it, I've made it. I'm going to, you know, in 6 months' time, I'll be set and whatever. You know, mate, we're 5 years in, and we're certainly not, we're not where we want to be. We're on the way, of course, and it's growth. But
yeah, and I mean, everyone's been encouraged to check out your page and do a little bit of research on what it is you do. But just really quickly, just tell everyone what the KO8 bands are and obviously how they're used.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best way to see them in action is go on Instagram or YouTube. So the Instagram's KO8_Fitness if you don't know. So definitely check out some videos. But so basically, it's a suspension trainer. It's a suspension training popularized by TRX. You're basically using your body weight as that mode of resistance, and you can make it easier or harder. You can scale it. Tons of exercises you can do with it. The big thing for me, where I thought it was a little bit limited, was the transverse plane. So you can rotate with it, but it's very difficult, and you have to be pretty advanced to rotate in certain exercises. So that's why I love resistance bands. So with the resistance bands, you can rotate. You can work from different heights as well. So suspension training, you have to be high anchor points because obviously your body's dictating that resistance. With resistance bands, you can go mid, you can go low. So you can literally do an endless amount of exercises. So we've got interchangeable resistance bands, which go from 6 all the way up to 72 kg. Because for us, we were like, my like sort of blue sky was, I want to create a product that can be used by everyone from absolute beginners to rugby players. So it needs to be strong and durable enough to go into Ulster Rugby, which I did in the first few months. And you get all those beasts using it. And, you know, they go, yeah, it's good. They give the seal of approval. So You've got the interchangeable resistance bands, and then we also have the adjustable foot cradles, so it can double up as like a harness for certain plyometric techniques, mobility drills and stuff. So the great thing about it, mate, as well, and we'll touch on obviously the certification, but because it's such a versatile piece of kit, we'll go somewhere and, you know, a golf pro will go, well, have you tried this? Yeah. And we haven't, but we're like, amazing, you know, we'll put that in the back pocket and we'll use it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, so it's...
I think one of the things that I just thought was brilliant as well when I first saw it, and obviously I've got one myself, but it's your strap line, isn't it? No gym, no problem. So yeah. Literally, especially this time now, whilst everyone's locked down, it's like the perfect piece of equipment, isn't it? It can be attached to a door frame, it can be attached to a tree, so it's unbelievably versatile and obviously very, very practical. So you created this band, the bands. Where do you even, if someone's sitting there now listening and they think, I've got this unbelievable idea for a piece of sports equipment, but I don't know where to start, where did you actually go to get this invention made? Where did you start?
So basically it was a simple case of just typing in on Google like sports equipment manufacturers in Asia. We were looking at different ones, so we were looking at like places in China. We got a few samples sent out that nearly broke in our hands as soon as we opened them up, which you're going to go through that, you've got to really. And then even the manufacturer we're working with now, they're based in Taiwan, and it was a quality product from the start, but there were so many little things where it went wrong in a way, and you know, you've got to get them tested out constantly. You know, you've got to do your pre-shipment inspections and stuff, and yeah, it was just I'd say it was a funny one, mate, because now looking back, I'm like, you've got time, you've got so much time. Do you know what I mean? But like, I was so impatient to get it exactly where I wanted it.
Talk us through that then, Kieran, because that must be hard. You've got this vision in your mind, and you work with people on the other side of the world to sort of bring your vision to life. You're sitting there, you're waiting for the I don't know, for a box to land on your doorstep. You're ready to test this next phase of your equipment, and all of a sudden it breaks in your hands. How do you feel like? Because that's clearly a setback, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. I think initially just the pure excitement and enthusiasm of like, you know, I'm from Liverpool. Like, we don't do stuff like this. Like that was getting me through it. So I was like, it's okay, we can sort it out. And then when you get about 3 or 4 that break, you're like, you know, there's probably a reason why I'm not doing stuff like this. Like, am I the guy for the job type of thing? But you know, you get over those little setbacks, mate. And I remember we got 2,000 units once. This was a little bit further down the line, and they sent us 2,000 units, and obviously our colour's red, so it's red, black and white. They're our like company colours, and every band was orange.
Oh.
So we literally had 2,000 units, made of orange bands, and we'd had pre-sales and stuff, and we were just like, what do we do? And the problem was, and the problem is, a lot of times when you're working with suppliers the other side of the world, they'll tell you anything you want to hear. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, once it's done, it's done. So just going back a little bit, that was a bit of a segue, but like that initial order, we ordered 1,000 units, and that's just, again, now it's probably easy to get less MOQ, so minimum order quantities, different factories will work on, some will work on 500, some will work on 1,000, but obviously the more you take, the less you pay generally. So that first 1,000 unit order, mate, the most nervous moment of my life was sending that money over, because you just don't know. You're like, okay, we've been speaking to them for 9 months. Yeah. We've had maybe 6 or 7 samples now. Everything seems legit, but you know, they could close the company tomorrow and get off with your money, mate. So it's a heart and mouth moment, but when they arrive, it's, again, you just, it's exciting, mate, beyond belief. So
amazing. Let's jump across then to Dubai, because obviously, you know, you said very early on you've always loved the idea of travelling and seeing the world, but you've done something which a lot of people would love the idea of doing, but have never quite got to it, and that's you've lived in different countries, and you've been able to work around the world and doing the thing that you love. So talk everyone through how you came to working in Dubai and living in Dubai.
Well, it was interesting, really. So again, talking about people coming into your life or coming back into your life, say, I'd had the KO8 up and running, so just to go back slightly. So initially, like the route to market for us was, because I've been in sports a little bit, I had contacts within certain football clubs and, you know, different sports teams. So for me, it was important to get that validation from the head S&Cs, whose names carried a little bit of clout, where we like, if they say it's good, then we can, push it to say, okay, a guy called Neil Parsley, who's, was England Rugby's head coach and worked with GB Taekwondo and stuff. And we went into Liverpool Football Club early on. So Jordan Milsom, I don't know if you know Jordan yourself, Mark, but he's at Rangers now. He was the S&C at Liverpool. Straight away, he was like, mate, it's legit. It's a great bit of kit. So, that was sort of the business model initially. The only problem with that, sports teams don't pay them the rent, basically. So they'll take 4 or 5 when you need to shift a lot more than that. But it was nice to get them on board. And then pretty early on, I'd say like 6 months in, a guy who was a close friend of mine in school, played football with a lad called Sean Clancy. He was doing a similar thing to yourself. So he was like coaching kids with like football and also school and sixth form age. And we just sort of reconnected, mate. He went to Blackpool when he was younger to play football. I was at Tranmere. We hadn't seen each other for about maybe 8 years. And we just reconnected, and it was nice because he had that teaching experience, which I didn't have. I've obviously got the product. And he was like, you know what, let's marry the two together and let's create a certification to back what you're doing with KO8. So we did. We got it endorsed by Reps and Skills Active. And the very first certification, mate, believe it or not, it's crazy to say now, was in the Burj Khalifa. So the tallest building in the world. We hadn't even done, and I'm not saying you should do this, by the way, but we hadn't even done a certification anywhere. So it was like a fake it till you make it type of move. And we had a contact in the Armani Hotel in the Burj Khalifa, and he was like, come and do one here. So we just invited, or he invited, we didn't know anyone. He invited all the gym managers, the top PTs, the influencers to this 2-day event where we done the certification. And as I say, mate, it's called the Burj Club, like the pool area outside the tallest building in the world. And we were just like, what is happening here? It was surreal, mate, to be completely honest. So that was early 2016. And from there, we built contacts through those couple of days. And that's one other thing that I'd say can't be stressed enough is the importance of networking. Whenever you're around someone, always give a good account of yourself, because you just don't know what will happen down the line. And we've had meetings back then in 2016 that have only come to fruition this year or last year, and you're waiting 3-4 years for something to happen. But as I say, just that first impression you can give people, and you just never know. So from that, we kept getting like offers to come out, Fitness First, Gold's Gym, different gyms, and run certifications. So me and Sean probably made, I'd say, about 5 trips in 2016. We'd go for a week, 2 weeks. And then it was the December of 2016, and we were like, should we just move? So we all moved, mate. Me, my missus, Sean, his missus, he had a little boy at the time. And we all lived together. So we all lived in an apartment in Dubai, and it was mad, mate. It was absolutely crazy, to be honest, because we were up crack of dawn, we were on the laptop till 2 in the morning, basically. And it was exhausting, and it got to a point where I think the things we were consuming at the time, guys like Gary Vee and social media people who were like, just get after it, like, you don't need sleep. Yeah. But we just weren't being productive. We were almost like busy fools because we were running on fumes, and we couldn't make, like, I don't know, with the decision making and everything.
The clarity in your decision making.
The clarity just wasn't there, mate. So about 6 months in, I had an opportunity to run a fitness retreat in Thailand. So then I was like, yeah, let's go for it. I think me and Sean had come to the decision as well where we can cover more ground and we can grow the brand faster if we split up. So that was the best move, really, because we'd spent that much time with each other. You're probably the same with some of your own guys, Mark, where you end up finishing each of the sentences. And it's pointless, really, because like you can go to one meeting here, I can go and do something over there. And as I say, we'll cover more ground doing it that way. So Thailand was the place where I got the most amount of clarity, because I had more time to reflect and to really think about things and think about how to grow the business and to really see it as like a long game business as opposed to, can we make quick wins here?
Yeah.
I think if you get them, fantastic, but I think the bigger businesses, the ones that have stood the test of time, these guys don't think in those ways. They've got stoic philosophies, and it's, you know, it's all about delayed gratification. So you do what needs to be done, and then you reap the rewards down the line. But
I think, you know what, Kieran, is brilliant as well. You've obviously made some, you, Sean, you've all been super committed to what you're doing. You've worked unbelievably hard, but it's quite clear you've made really big, bold, brave decisions as well. You know, even that one there, splitting up, Sean stays in Dubai, you go across and work in Thailand. So just bring everyone up to speed in terms of where you are now as a business and what it is, like sort of the impact you're having now.
So it's funny as well, I talk about the gym. So we'd always wanted, it was funny, we were outside the train station, and this was probably about mid-2016, and we were like, we want a gym by, I think we said September 2019. And he said we didn't want it to be like a normal gym, we want it to be like a performance centre, and people go there because specific in certain things that we do, and you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be the main money driver of the business. It's just one of those things where we can use it for filming content, because it's something we can touch on as well, social media and how powerful that is as a platform. Especially now, it's ridiculous, you know, the amount of free marketing you can get, but also paid advertising, which we do a lot. But the gym was always something in the back of our minds where we were like, we want a HQ, we want a base, we want something to, you know, just to call home, basically. So we went through that for the last 6 months or so, and then we just opened, and then all the restrictions happened, and we've been open for 2 weeks, and we had to shut down in Dubai, and it's easing off over there now, so I think we'll be open probably in the next 2 weeks or so. But what's been good in terms of the brand that we've built, because it's a home use product, the online content, and we put out, like, we've got an 8-week program that we've got, which is like 30 hours of video workouts, and you know, people can do them at home, put it on the laptop, put it on the TV, and just follow along with us. And yeah, mate, it's been a stroke of luck in a way, because no one could have predicted what's happened with COVID and the lockdowns and everything else. But I think even the way we tried to go about the business, like going back to the original guy who led me on this path, he's a big follower of Nicholas Nassim Taleb. I don't know if you've heard of that guy. He's got a few really interesting books. Black Swan is one of them, and what he talks about is being anti-fragile. So he talks about it in like more business terms. So there's Black Swan events, which is like, you know, the crash of 2008 was a Black Swan event, the financial crisis then. You know, 9/11 was a Black Swan event where things just changed so rapidly. And it's what we've always tried to do in terms of like outsourcing the business. So from an employee standpoint, we try just to keep like a core group of employees who can wear multiple hats when needed, and everything else we'll outsource. So as I say, from setting up a business, it's not always in my opinion anyway, the most efficient way to run it by taking on more and more staff. I think if you can outsource it to someone who's an expert in their field, but you only pay them when they do something, in times like these where everything shuts down, you're a little bit, as I say, more anti-fragile. You can deal with it and roll with it, which has been good for us, really. It's been, as I say, luck has been part of it, but almost by design as well.
It's clear from listening to you, Kieran, there's loads and loads of lessons that you've obviously had along the way. So if we were to sort of boil it down and say, for anyone in the room who's inspired by you, which inevitably these young people are going to be inspired by the journey that you've been on and the journey that you will go on in the future. If you could give 3 tips to the students who might want to follow in your footsteps, what would be your first one?
First one is knowledge. Just to acquire knowledge in whatever you're interested in. So, you know, from me doing my personal training course, maybe these guys feel the same way, but I remember finishing it and was like, okay, I don't know really how to build muscle. I've got no idea how to make someone lose fat. Nutrition, I haven't got a clue. So it was like, I've just done a course on all these things, but you get the bare bones sometimes where you're like, if you're really interested in something, do your research. Like, there's so much information out there, and it doesn't have to be boring. Like for me, school was something where I was all right in school, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of times I've always questioned why I was doing something. Like, why am I learning that? doesn't apply to me, I'm never going to use it. And maybe I probably have certain things, but if you're interested in a certain aspect of fitness, let's say, whether it's, you know, Olympic weightlifting, or if it's more like, you know, functional training, if it's mobility, if it's pure S&C, get out there now and, you know, watch the YouTube videos, buy the books, invest in yourself, because that will be the best investment you'll ever make, is in your own knowledge. So that would be the first one. I think number 2 would be taking advice off people, but if you're set in something that you want to do, be unshakable. Like, your perseverance is what will get you there, because I suppose it sounded a little bit, as I've been talking about it, that it's all sort of fell into place, but mate, there's been struggles, like real bad struggles along the way, where we're like, this might be the last month, we might go under. Like, all these things happen, and, you know, as much as those thoughts creep in, it's important to get them out your head as soon as possible if you do believe you're on the right thing. So what I would say is, like, it's almost a zero-sum game. If you get all the advice off everyone, it'll amount to zero, because they'll cancel each other out. So if you're set, that's what you want to do. Be unshakable, you know, persevere and keep going. And then number 3 would be, travel. I think travel is so important, to just experience new cultures, different people. I think to build character, travel would be maybe actually flip it. That would probably be number 1. Do a bit of travel, especially at that age, mate. You know, it doesn't have to be 16, 18, but as I say, I didn't really start doing anything career-wise until about 25.
We always ask this question, Kieran, because we encourage students to travel as well. And we say, you know, at the end of the sixth form, when they reach the age of 18, there's a list of countries that the students can go and work in, whether that's the likes of America or Canada, you know, as far the other way as China. But we always say to students that it's natural that might make you feel a bit nervous. You might feel a little bit apprehensive at the thought of living away from home for whether it's a short period of time or a long period of time. Is that something that you encountered?
Absolutely, mate. I mean, at the age of 18, I moved to Spain. And that even itself is because part of me knew that Liverpool was sort of, I don't know, you get drawn into the crowd of, you can't go out unless you've got a new t-shirt on, or, you know, you've got to go out and go to this place and that place and everything else. And I don't know, mate, I think everyone does it, and I'm not saying you shouldn't go. I certainly have a drink from time to time, but I think this city specifically, and I know people on the call are from different cities, but I'll speak from a scout's point of view. You get drawn into the Liverpool way of life, and for me, it was like I need a change. But that was scary also, because all my mates are from Liverpool. You know, my family moved over with me as well, which was great. You know, so that was nice to have them there. But I suppose going out and travelling, I can speak to a little bit more of the apprehension. When I've done the 6 months on my own, you know, there's times where you're on a bus for 10 hours. Like, I remember going through Cambodia, and I was on a 10-hour bus, and I was like, if I don't speak to people on this bus, I am literally on my own for this journey, and it's going to drive me insane. So you've just got to get yourself out of your comfort zone. And as I say, even if you're shy, I'm shy at the best of times. So I think just getting yourself out of your comfort zone and speaking to people, and just once you understand that everyone else is in the same position. But I think putting yourself out there in general, whether that's traveling or whether that's, you know, even social media, I think a lot of people have got fear over that, because it's like, I don't want to make that video, people are going to skip me or take the piss or whatever. And it's like, they might do, they probably will. I get the piss taken out of me all the time still by my closest mates, but you're putting yourself out there, do you know what I mean? And I think, you know, now probably more than ever, there's that much going on. People might care for 10 seconds and then they won't care again. But going back to the traveling aspect of it, yeah, it's definitely scary. It's something that requires a lot of thought. But I think even if you go with someone, so, you know, if 2 people are on the call here who are friends, or, you know, they've spoke to someone in the past who's up for it, then go for it. I think from a job opportunity standpoint, like you're talking about, Mark, purely from the networking side. So, you know, if you've got the opportunity to go to the States or to go to Qatar or, you know, these places, even if it's not a full-time job right away, you just don't know what doors might open down the line, and you're putting yourself out there, which is important, really. you know, every shot you don't take is a missed opportunity in my eyes. So for me, I think you've got to shoot.
Brilliant. And yeah, I think that's brilliant that you've said that, because that's quite consistent with what some of our other speakers have said as well. So one of the things we've done in the last couple of weeks, we've done like a little bit of a little experiment really, and I'm going to encourage everyone to do it again today if we could. So Mike,
hello.
Sorry, Mike. Is there yeah, there we go. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out whether there was a way of seeing everyone on the screen. So what I'd like everyone to do now, have you got your phone there with you with the KO8 page on, Kieran?
I have, mate, but I'm on my phone, you see, so...
What we're going to do, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll pull the KO8 page up on my phone, and we're going to encourage everyone to give your page a follow. So do you want to give everyone do you want to give everyone your page, Kieran?
Yeah, so it's KO8 _fitness.
Oh, you've got that many followers, Kieran. I can't tell if people are following or
not. Mate, I'll be able to tell. Don't worry, I'll be able to get them up after the call.
Brilliant. So let's say there's students here who are looking and they go onto your page now and they see the bands. Is there somewhere where they could go and actually potentially get some of these bands delivered to home? Online?
Yeah, so what I'll do, mate, I'll make a promo code for yourselves. I'll make a unique promo code to give to the guys. But essentially, the link in the bio of Instagram, that's the best way. So if you click on that, that'll take you through to the website. And then, you know, as I say, I'll give you guys a promo code as well, which will give them 15% off if they did want to get themselves a KO8.
That's generous of you. Thanks very much, Kieran. And then moving forwards, obviously you touched on earlier on about you delivering out qualifications. So you've got the Ko8 certification. Is that something students can get involved in if there's an interest in the room today?
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, definitely. We run multiple certifications across the UK. Obviously, Dubai. We've done them in a few different countries now. We've done a little tour of North America a couple of years ago. So we went up to Vancouver, Texas, Miami, New York, which was nice. And I mean, we've had people of all ages really, and it's an interesting day because it's all practical. I know they do a lot of textbook work and stuff in the classroom, so we try and keep them off that as much as possible, and we just go through practicality stuff. And as I say, for me, it's come from the desire to want to know what to do day one with a client, because for me, I finished that course and really didn't know where to begin. So we've just tried to make it, obviously it's a versatile piece of kit. So, if you've got an athlete, or if you've got, someone who's coming back from injury, or you've got a 60-year-old man who's never trained in his life, there's exercise and there's protocols you can do with the KO8. And that's one thing we really believe in, is every exercise has got progressions and regressions. So even if it's the same movement pattern, it's just going to be easier or harder depending on the person. So yeah, if they're interested, maybe we can certainly talk about some dates and get something settled for them.
Brilliant. So I think for everyone who's listening today, that's something that we'll definitely try and do on your behalf. So if you're interested in doing the certification with Kieran and Ko8, just make sure you drop LLS a direct message on Instagram today. And obviously, once the lockdown's lifted, that's something that we'd love to try and get booked in for some point next year. So I think that's all really from me, Kieran. I knew at the start I was going to enjoy this, because I love listening to people's stories. I love listening to the journey that people have been on. So hopefully everyone who's joined us today has enjoyed this as much as I have. So what we normally do just to finish is just give everyone a little opportunity to ask some questions. So what I'm going to do is, can I ask anyone, if you've got a question, just to put a little thumbs up emoji on your screen for me, please? Is anything popping up your side there, Mike?
Yeah, we got a question from Stefan in Derry.
Stefan's over in Derry. Off you go, Stefan. Thanks very much.
Kieran, thanks for that. you mentioned a few books that you go to ones, Tim Ferriss 4-Hour Workout and Unfair Advantage.
Yeah.
Would you have like a top 5 go to other than those?
Yeah, I mean, one I'm reading at the minute is a guy called Josh Waitzkin, and his book is The Art of Learning. So he's a really interesting guy. I actually heard about him on the Tim Ferriss podcast. So he was like a chess prodigy from like the age of 6. I think he was the best chess player from 6 to 18 in America. And then he went on to get into Tai Chi, push hands, became a world champion at that. And then if anyone's into MMA or Jiu-Jitsu, he became Marcelo Garcia, who's recognised as probably the best grappler of the last 20 years. He became his first black belt. So the guy, what's really interesting to me is he's gone from like something that's not physical at all in chess to something that's extremely physical in Jiu-Jitsu, and he's basically mastered both. So that's a really interesting book. I'd certainly recommend that. Other things I'd say, really good books. Yeah, what else would I say? Thinking Fast and Slow by Robert Kahneman's an interesting book. Again, just for me, it's the things that intrigue me is like how the mind works and, you know, sort of understanding why we think the way we think and being conscious of it, because a lot of times we'll do things very reactive and it'll be an impulse, but there's a reason behind that. And if you're conscious of it, you can sometimes reel that in a little bit. So that's a good one. And then more things I've read recently is like Sapiens, which is basically a story of humans from, you know, birth to now, you know, like a 200,000 year journey of Homo sapiens, which is really, really interesting. Maybe not so much on business, but just on life really and how we got to where we are. I think that's a very interesting book as well.
Good man, appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, Kieran.
More than welcome, mate.
Next up, we've got a question from Mike Kieran saying, how many languages can you speak?
The one, mate, embarrassingly enough, yeah. Do you know what? My Spanish isn't bad, to be fair. I can speak a bit of Spanish, but yeah, I mean, the places I've lived in, and it's just one of them things when you're a Brit, everybody speaks English, mate. So, you know, you live in Thailand.
What about Kieran? Because this was the second part to Mike's question was, do you have any language barriers? Now, obviously you said before we started the call, obviously being from Liverpool, we tend to speak quite quickly. So talk us through how you've overcome that.
Yeah, that was early on, mate. As I say, living in Spain, working in a bar, I speak, like, even now I'm toning it down quite a lot, but if you heard me speaking to me mates on the phone, it would be slang and everything else and quite harsh. So when I got to Spain, people would be, you know, talking to me and they literally couldn't understand me. So yeah, that's always been something where I was like, what do you mean? And people from England even would be like, what did you just say? And then we went to Thailand on a holiday, me and 4 of my mates, and we went on a tuk-tuk ride to this elephant sanctuary, and we'd spent the whole day with these guys. So these 2 guys were from America, been to the elephant sanctuary, going back. So as we're dropping them off to their hotel from the tuk-tuk, they turn around and go, just wanted to ask you before we leave, what part of Holland are you guys from? We went, what? And he went, you're speaking Dutch? And we went, no, this is English. So yeah, that's been something I realised quite young, mate, that you've got to, you know, tone things down a little bit. There's maybe people on the call now who can't understand me, to be fair, but yeah, we are extremely lucky, mate, to speak English as our native tongue, because wherever you go in the world, there's never been anywhere. I went to China and thought China might be the place where, you know, I struggle quite a lot, and you don't, mate. It's yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, because you sort of get a little bit lazy as well.
Yeah. And then I'm just mindful of your time, Kieran. I know you've got a full afternoon filming today, so Mike Crockford, who's hosting the call, is actually, I think, Mike, have you got a question?
Yeah, I just had one more question. So you touched on it before about social media and using that to build your brand. It's sort of a two-pronged question. Is one, could you just tell us a little bit about how important you found using social media to build that brand? And then secondly, how you feel you've sort of cracked it and how you've used it and it's been sort of successful for you?
Yeah, really good question. social media is something where, again, it's a love-hate relationship, but it's one, if you're building a brand, you need to be heavily invested in, because especially early on, it's free advertising for you, which is crazy. You know, you read these books from the 80s and stuff, and they had to go the hard way. They'd be, door to door. And don't get me wrong, we've done that as well. We've cold called. Like in the early days, I'd literally be in a place and I'd type in gym, and I'd rock up and speak to managers and just say, look, we've got this product, do you want to see it and stuff? But social media just opens the door to the world, really. And a big thing for us early on was to say getting in with the likes of, a Liverpool Football Club and Ulster Rugby, England Cricket, these types of places. But that doesn't come by chance. You've got to put yourself out there for them to see you. Another great thing now, which is something that's, the last 5 years, is social media influencers. So you can team up with people who've got massive followings, and then straight away their audience has access to you, and you've got more eyes on your product and your brand. So it's constantly evolving. Like now, TikTok is a big thing. I haven't got a TikTok account yet. I think probably the guys on the call know a hell of a lot more about it than me. But the same way I looked at Instagram maybe 10 years ago and thought, I'll never be on that. I was on Facebook and that was it. And my girlfriend at the time was on Instagram, and I just thought it was something stupid. Now my mum's on Instagram, my dad's on Instagram. I think it changes constantly. So I think to be ahead of the curve and to be on something that's the next big thing, probably a TikTok, is the smart move. So the one thing with social media as well, I say, the reason why it's a love-hate relationship, I think you're only going to ever get access to someone's highlight reel, and it's not reality. A lot of times it's just not. It can make you feel like you're not good enough. It can bring self-doubt, and why haven't you got what that person's got? So I'd say take it with a pinch of salt. Don't invest too much mental energy into people's perception of what you're actually doing, but put yourself out on there, and if you've got something to say it. You've got to make a bit of a splash as well. That's one thing I would say with social media. See what's working. Follow the big accounts of people you like and are doing a similar thing that you're interested in. Follow them. Take on board what they're doing, and then try and put something that's like a little bit unique to you. Put your little secret sauce on it, and make it a bit more unique. But definitely put yourself out there on it.